A Houston Forensic Science Center employee has been fired, accused of mishandling DNA evidence. ABC 13's Alex Bozargian joins us live. And Alex, this could impact criminal cases in Harris County, including the murder of rapper TakeOff.
You shot great, but you shot late. High level. This is the Rundown Podcast.
I'm gonna give you the rundown.
Eric, it's very possible Patrick Clark, the man accused of shooting and killing TakeOff, was made aware that a forensic analyst that works here and is tied to his case had been fired. She allegedly had made mistakes in some of the cases that she was working on, something a criminal defense attorney tells me really taints her credibility. But at this point, there's no proof that she made any mistakes in Clark's case.
Since she did mess up, they can never put her on the stand again, and because the defense attorney would eat her alive.
Forensic analyst Rochelle Austin was considered a witness in the case against Patrick Clark, a man who police believe is responsible for shooting and killing Grammy-nominated rapper TakeOff at a Houston bowling alley. Clark was indicted on the murder charge back in May of 2023. Nearly a year later, a Brady notice has been filed in his case. It states DNA samples Austin processed had been switched in one instance. In another, court documents say she skipped a step and processed the wrong sample. These are cases unrelated to Clark, but according to criminal defense attorney Murray Newman, the Brady notice is an indicator to the defense that there is something that may contradict their client's guilt.
And they have an ongoing duty to turn that over, no matter how minor they may perceive it to be. And that can be something that someone got caught in a lie on one completely unrelated case.
In a system that already has court backlogs, Newman says this is yet another setback.
A case-by-case basis of how big of an effect it has, but it certainly is yet another black eye it's certainly not going to speed anything up.
Clark's attorney, Leticia Quinones, said in a statement to ABC 13, "This is something of concern for us, and we will be investigating it to see exactly how it affects our client's case." Detectives say the night Clark allegedly shot the rapper at the bowling alley, surveillance footage showed him holding a gun in one hand and a wine bottle in the other. Investigators say he was seen on video taking the shot that killed TakeOff, and they say he left the wine bottle behind. They say it was fingerprints on that bottle that led them to Clark. The DA's office says 392 Brady notices have been filed due to alleged mishandling of evidence in criminal cases. It's unclear how many of those are tied to Austin specifically. In downtown Houston, I'm Alex Bozargian, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
It's been over 2 years since beloved Migos member TakeOff was shot and killed outside of a bowling alley in Houston on November 1st, 2020. And the trial for the man arrested for the crime continues to loom as the case drags on in court. Patrick Xavier Clark, 35, and Cameron Joshua, 24, were both arrested on a month after TakeOff's death and charged in connection to the killing, with Clark being charged with murder and Joshua being hit with weapons charges. Police say TakeOff was an innocent bystander and was shot following an argument after a dice game in front of the 810 Billiards and Bowling. In January of 2023, Clark was released on a $1 million bond. He was indicted by a grand jury that May. Since then, the case has seemingly been moving at a snail's pace, with Clark's legal team filing several motions for a discovery of evidence and requests from the judge. Most recently, last November, Clark asked for and was granted $20,000 for a senior visualization analyst and defense expert to assist with his case. There has also been an internal investigation that has appeared to complicate things. Last April, it was reported that Houston's ABC 13 News that Rochelle Austin, a former analyst at Houston Forensic Science Center, was fired after documents shows that she allegedly committed evidence processing errors that may impact several cases, which one being the murder of TakeOff. Police used surveillance footage that allegedly shows Clark firing the gun that killed TakeOff, and as well as DNA evidence from a wine bottle Clark was holding at the time of the arrest to charge him with the crime. Clark's case was not one of the cases listed as being mishandled by Austin. However, it opens the door for Clark's defense to call foul in their case as well. Patrick Clark's next court date is scheduled for February 25th. according to court documents obtained by XXL on Monday, January the 20th. Now let's go over and check out the report by the Houston ABC 13 News that featured the story on the former analyst at Houston Forensic Science Center, Rochelle Austin, who made those errors that could affect thousands of cases there in Houston.
More problems with criminal investigations, murder, aggravated assaults. Those are the cases that we have learned are under review after one of the city's DNA analysts was terminated for shoddy work. And tonight we are learning of more cases that have already been disposed of.
Gina, notices are being filed in all of the cases that this DNA analyst has either worked on or could be called to testify in. While the Houston Forensic Science Center says they haven't found errors in any of her casework, just tests that she was given, it's an opportunity for defense attorneys whose clients were facing life behind bars to poke holes in their case.
The victims are the ones that are going to suffer the most.
Another potential failure of justice for victims could equate to a small victory for defendants. The work of a now terminated DNA analyst at the Houston Forensic Science Center is being called into question after a spokesperson says Rochelle Austin made errors in handling proficiency test materials, which they say is just a test to check her skills. In a statement, the center said, quote, "At this time, our review has not revealed any evidence suggesting that the analyst's proficiency test errors have compromised the validity of any casework."
I think 90% of the defense lawyers out there are going to say, yeah, we want this retested.
Defense attorneys in 392 active cases, plus 170 cases that have already reached some sort of conclusion, have been or will be notified of this. The charges are serious. The DA's office says they're murders, aggravated assaults, and sexual assaults of both adults and children. Certainly, DNA evidence isn't always the only thing tying a defendant to a case. There could be eyewitness testimony, fingerprints, or video. But retesting DNA could result in delays to cases.
The DA's office may decide that's too much work to put on our plate, to put on the forensic lab's plate, so we're just going to go ahead and cut deals or dismiss cases as a result of this.
The DA's office says they're currently working on making notification in the cases that have already reached a conclusion. That could mean new trials, or defendants who took plea agreements could ask for DNA evidence to be re-examined.
While it can be very helpful in finding people and in solving crimes, it can also be responsible for putting someone who's innocent in prison for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years or life.
Now, as you heard, this is most likely not to affect the TakeOff case, and that evidence was still preserved and that wasn't tainted as we know of as of now. And they're saying that this could, still impact the TakeOff case as far as the time that's going to get this thing wrapped up, as far as Patrick Clark going to trial over the murder of TakeOff. Now, a lot of people have been wondering what's going on with the TakeOff case and what's taking so long with the evidence being presented and new updates in the TakeOff case for the public, right? But now we're starting to see, what's going on in this Houston Forensic Center scientist, this analyst, Rochelle Austin. She made these errors, these mistakes, and she was fired. And amongst that evidence happened to be TakeOffs, right? The TakeOff evidence is obviously still affected some type of way with his trial being pushed back, right? And justice for TakeOff, right, is still coming, right? But they're saying that it might take a little bit more time than expected, being that this unfortunate incident has happened with the mishandling of evidence. So, alleged shooter Patrick Clark has been out on a $1 million bond, right? And a lot of people haven't heard nothing about Patrick Clark or this TakeOff situation since about 2 years ago, but because things are constantly happening, the world is steady moving. But yeah, man, this TakeOff case, this trial of justice for TakeOff shall still prevail sooner or later, and we shall see the outcome in this whole ordeal, right? And the motive, as to why Patrick Clark allegedly started shooting that led to the death of TakeOff. Now, what they're telling us is Patrick Clark is the one that fired that fatal shot that, took out TakeOff. And they're also saying that Cameron Joshua, better yet known as Lil Cam Fifth, also had a weapon, right? So evidently Lil Cam Fifth had a weapon on that scene at the same time when Takeoff was being gunned down there at that bowling alley. So they're not saying as of this moment if he actually shot his gun at all, but they're saying that he did have a weapon during that shooting. So y'all get in the comment section and y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire ordeal. And until the next time, this is OG Jucario TV with the latest in rap, hip hop, celebrity, and urban news.
You're watching the Rundown Podcast. I appreciate everybody for spending with me. I appreciate all my subscribers for sliding with your boy every time. And say, man, hey man, keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button, and look, turn on post notification so we can slide whenever I get the drop. You already know what it is, man. It's deeper than Buddha, heard you hear me? And guess what? I'm gone.